All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the world of W.B. Yeats.
Oh, Yeats.
But, and here's the twist,
Okay.
we're not looking at his poetry or his plays,
Right.
at least not directly.
Interesting.
We're going into his magical journal.
Oh, wow, his magical journal. Now, that's something you don't hear every day.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. It's not just like, a list of spells or something.
Right.
It's this whole system he was building.
Okay.
System of magic with colors and astrology, even Hebrew mysticism.
Wow, so it's like he was trying to map out a whole other dimension of reality.
That's a great way to put it.
That's amazing.
And he wasn't just jotting down ideas.
No.
He created detailed diagrams and descriptions of rituals.
Oh, wow.
There's this one called like the Vault of the Adepts.
Vault of the Adepts. What is that?
That's what I want to know. What do you think it means?
Well, just the name vault
Right.
makes me think of something hidden, like a secret chamber.
Totally.
Especially with Yeats and his involvement with all those esoteric groups.
Like the Golden Dawn.
Exactly. It could be symbolic, you know.
Of what?
Like a higher level of spiritual understanding.
Oh, okay.
A place where secret knowledge is kept.
So how did he think you could access this vault?
Well, the journal mentions specific colors, astrological alignments.
Yeah, there's even something called a Laman of the Ox.
It's like a mystical Indiana Jones adventure.
But instead of finding a lost artifact.
It's more like a journey inward.
Oh, I see. Like the ritual elements, the symbols. It's all about transformation.
Yes, and using that to access hidden knowledge.
The journal is packed with symbols, and one that really stands out is the Rose and Cross.
Ah, the rose and cross. Such a powerful symbol.
I know it's common, but I'm curious about how Yeats interpreted it.
He saw it as this multi-layered emblem.
Okay.
Representing the intersection of the spiritual and the material.
Like the soul and the body.
Exactly, but he goes even deeper.
How so?
By weaving in his color system and astrological correspondences.
Oh, right, we were talking about those.
Each element, like a shade of red or a planet's position, adds another layer of meaning.
So it's not just a static symbol, it's dynamic.
Precisely. Connecting to different energies and stages of development.
This color system is really intricate.
It is, isn't it?
There's a diagram called Limitations in Structure.
Yes, I remember that one.
It looks like a color wheel, but you said it's more than that.
Much more.
What do you mean?
Each color, from black to white, represents a different spiritual state.
A spiritual state.
It's like a journey from the darkness of the material world.
Okay.
Upwards towards the purity and enlightenment of the spiritual realm.
So it's a symbolic map, almost.
Well, it's spiritual evolution, yes.
Wow. But then there's another diagram labeled Sephiroth.
Ah, yes, that one's interesting.
It has Hebrew letters and astrological symbols, too.
It seems like Yeats was trying to synthesize different traditions, combining Kabbalah, astrology, and color symbolism.
Into a single framework.
Exactly. Each sephira, representing a divine energy, is linked to a color, planet, and sign.
Wow, it sounds like a complex system.
It is. It's just a deep connection between all these forces shaping the universe and us.
So this isn't just random. It's a system for understanding the universe of our place in it.
Precisely.
But how did he use this system? Did it influence his creative process?
That's where things get even more fascinating.
In what way?
He seems to have viewed symbols not just as literary devices, but as keys to unlock deeper realities.
So he wasn't just theorizing.
No, he was actively experimenting with them, exploring his inner world.
Through rituals and symbols.
Exactly.
You mentioned the Vault of the Adepts earlier, the ritual to open it.
Oh, yes, that one.
What about it stood out to you?
It's the level of detail he provides.
Like what?
The positions of people, colors of robes, specific wording of the invocations.
It's almost like a stage production.
In a way, yes. It wasn't just the idea of accessing this knowledge.
Right.
It was the meticulous process, the discipline and intention.
So the journey was as important as the destination.
Exactly.
And this attention to detail reflects his blending of mystical traditions.
It does, doesn't it?
This ritual seems to draw from ceremonial magic.
Very much so, which was popular in esoteric circles back then.
Emphasizing actions and symbolic objects.
As a means of connecting with the unseen world.
The diagram of the vault itself is also interesting.
Oh, yes.
It's like a mystical floor plan.
With positions labeled chief, second,
fifth
third.
wordle instead of a door.
It really reinforces the idea that this vault is more than just a physical place.
Right, like a realm of knowledge or higher awareness.
The portal suggests a passage to another dimension.
A realm beyond our everyday perception.
And the positions, maybe different stages of initiation.
Like levels of understanding within this hidden realm.
It's a fascinating idea.
He even includes the Ankh.
The Egyptian symbol.
But he doesn't just borrow it.
Right.
He layers it with his own color systems, Hebrew letters, astrological symbols.
That seems to be key to his approach.
You mean he wasn't just copying these traditions?
No, he was synthesizing them, creating a system that resonated with him.
So personalizing the symbols, He was creating his own language for the unseen world.
Precisely.
This journal is so much more than just mystical ideas.
Absolutely.
It's a record of Yeats actively engaging with these ideas, searching for meaning.
Trying to understand those big mysteries of life and death.
It's amazing.
It really is.
We get a glimpse into the soul of a poet.
Who saw the world through this lens of magic and symbolism?
And who tried to express that through his art.
Exactly.
Which is what we're going to explore next.
Sounds good.
So we're deep in Yeats's magical journal, and what's really incredible is how this system he built, it wasn't just theoretical for him.
No, not at all.
It seems like it was like a living part of how he saw the world.
Absolutely. And that's where it gets really exciting, you know?
So,
seeing how these ideas, which could seem, I don't know, abstract,
right,
actually influence his creative work.
We are talking about Yeats, the literary giant here.
Exactly.
So how did this magic actually show up in his art?
That's the big question.
Like his poem, The Second Coming, for example.
Oh, yes.
It's full of this intense apocalyptic imagery.
Right.
Is there a connection to his magical explorations?
Well, let's think back to that Wade-Malkuth diagram.
The one showing the spiritual ascent.
Exactly, that progression through levels of consciousness.
And eventually returning to the physical world with, like, deeper understanding.
Right, but what if that return is disrupted somehow?
Disrupted.
Like if those higher levels become inaccessible?
Okay.
Or the forces at play become overwhelming?
Whoa, so you're saying...
Maybe the second coming with that rough beast in the world, like spinning out of control?
Could be a reflection of that disrupted journey?
Exactly. A vision of what happens when the spiritual and material worlds collide, but not in a good way.
That's a really interesting interpretation.
And that rough beast,
yeah,
they could symbolize those chaotic forces, you know?
That breakthrough when the established order is messed up.
Right. It's not just a random monster. It's like an embodiment of those primal energies.
The ones Yeats was exploring in his system.
Precisely.
So the poem takes on a whole new meaning, though.
It does, doesn't it?
It's not just about, like, the end of the world, literally.
Right.
It's about this huge shift in consciousness.
Yeah.
A breakdown of how we see things and the emergence of something new, something powerful.
And potentially dangerous, but definitely transformative.
Definitely.
And that idea of transformation, of death and rebirth.
Yeah.
That's so central to his magical system, too.
Like with the colors, that progression from black to white.
Exactly. It's not just aesthetics. It reflects this journey from darkness to light.
From the material to the spiritual.
Exactly.
And the Rose and Cross, too.
Very, yes.
That symbol of the spiritual and material intersecting.
It also speaks to transformation.
Like he's always exploring this tension between different realms of existence.
Absolutely. So we're seeing how these concepts from the journal take on this vivid form in his poetry.
They're not just like abstract ideas.
No, they're woven into how he expresses himself artistically.
But it's more than just finding those direct connections, right?
Right.
It's about understanding the underlying principles.
I agree.
The way this magical worldview actually shaped his creative choices.
Even subconsciously, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's not a simple translation.
Right.
It's about recognizing that for Yeats, magic and art weren't separate.
Okay.
They were intertwined, feeding off each other.
Okay, so we've looked at poetry. What about his plays?
Oh, there's definitely a connection there, too.
Can you give me an example?
The Countess Kathleen, for example.
What about it?
It's a story of a noble woman who sells her soul to the devil.
Right, to save her people from starvation.
On the surface, it's about sacrifice and redemption.
Right.
But looking through the lens of his magical explorations, we can see something deeper.
What do you mean?
Her decision to sell her soul, it's more than just a plot point.
Okay.
It's like a symbol of her willingness to face the darkness.
To descend into it.
To bring light to others.
So it reflects that struggle we've been talking about.
Between the material and the spiritual.
So it's not just a morality play.
No, it's grappling with those big questions.
About the choices we make.
About good and evil, yeah.
It's like he's using the play to explore the same mysteries as his magical practice.
Exactly, and look at the symbolism he uses.
Like what?
The Countess is almost like a Christ figure.
Oh, interesting.
The devil as a tempter, the shoving people representing suffering humanity.
Like they're archetypes.
Tapping into those universal themes that resonated with Yeats both magically and artistically.
And the play doesn't give us easy answers.
Right.
The Countess is saved, but those questions, they linger.
About morality, the divine, it's all there.
That's the power of Yeats.
He wasn't afraid to explore those darker aspects.
Right.
To confront the complexities of human experience.
And find beauty in the chaos.
Exactly.
So this magical system,
yes,
it wasn't just theory for him.
It was a way of life.
A way of engaging with the big questions.
And that's what comes through in his art.
But there's one element we haven't talked about much.
What's that?
Astrology.
Ah, yes, astrology, a crucial piece.
How did that fit into all of this?
Well, remember those diagrams with the astrological
And
symbols?
Hebrew letters.
Yeats wasn't interested in like horoscopes or fortune telling.
So it wasn't about what's your sign?
No.
What was it about then?
He saw astrology as a way of understanding the underlying
The
energies,
patterns that shape our lives.
the universe itself,
So recognizing these larger forces at play.
those cosmic influences,
He saw the planets and stars as representing different archetypes.
different forces within us and around us.
So he wasn't just reading his horoscope. He was trying to understand the grand design, the cosmic dance.
Exactly.
And he linked specific astrological signs to the Sephiroth on the Kabbalistic tree of life.
Right.
So he saw this profound connection between the macrocosm and the microcosm,
Like we're all mini versions of the universe.
containing those same energies.
And understanding astrology
Was a way to tap into
to
that.
see how those forces are working in us and around us.
So it's about recognizing this interconnectedness.
This cosmic dance we're all part of.
But how did he actually use this astrological knowledge?
Well, while he might not have been casting horoscopes,
Right.
it seems he integrated these astrological principles
Into his rituals?
into his magical rituals and even his creative process, perhaps.
Give me an example.
Okay, think about the Vault of the Adepts ritual again.
Okay.
It mentions specific astrological alignments.
So timing was important.
The positions of the planets, it seems like it was crucial to him.
Like he was trying to align himself with these cosmic energies.
He enhanced the ritual, yes.
Like a cosmic conductor almost.
Orchestrating his actions in harmony with the planets and stars.
That's a beautiful image.
And this sensitivity to timing, to astrological influence,
Yeah.
it might have influenced his writing, too.
You mean he might have chosen to start a poem or a play?
During a specific astrological period, believing it would imbue the work with certain energies.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It adds a whole other layer to his work.
We can't know for sure, but it's intriguing to consider.
How this astrological awareness might have shaped his creative decisions.
And that sense of cosmic connection, of the interconnectedness of all things.
That's at the heart of Yeats's mystical vision.
It's a vision that continues to resonate today.
It challenges us to look beyond the surface.
To explore the hidden depths of our own existence.
Exactly.
Okay, before we get too lost in the stars, let's bring it back to the magical journal.
Back down to earth.
We've covered a lot.
Colors, symbols, rituals, astrology.
Are there any other key takeaways?
I think what really stands out to me is how this journal shows us Yeats's inner world.
How so?
It wasn't just about learning magical techniques or gathering knowledge.
It was deeper than that.
It was about this relentless search for meaning,
His desire to understand the mysteries of life and death.
his yearning to connect with something bigger than himself.
It's like we're getting this intimate glimpse into his soul.
The soul of a poet who saw the world through magic and symbolism.
And who tried to express that vision through his art.
And what's remarkable is how his vision still speaks to us today.
Even if we don't share his beliefs.
There's something universal about his exploration of the unseen world.
It's like he's inviting us to look beyond the everyday.
To consider the hidden depths and meanings that might be present in our own lives.
Even if we don't use the same mystical lens.
Exactly, and that's a powerful invitation.
One we can choose to accept or reject.
But regardless of our beliefs, we can't deny the richness of Yeats's magical legacy.
That's a great point.
It is, isn't it?
But before we finish this part,
Yes.
there's one more symbol I'd like to talk about.
Which one?
The Tree of Life.
Ah, yes, the Tree of Life.
It appears throughout the journal.
It does.
And I have a feeling it's more than just a pretty picture.
You're right, the Tree of Life, it's a central symbol in Kabbalah.
Right.
It represents the structure of the universe and the paths to spiritual enlightenment.
So it's a key to understanding his whole worldview.
I think so.
Remember how he connected the Sephiroth
Those emanations of divine energy.
to colors, planets, even astrological signs,
Yes, it suggests he saw the tree as a map, not just of the cosmos.
but of the human psyche too.
Precisely.
So, like we were saying before, we're all microcosms of the universe.
Containing those same energies and potentials within us.
And by understanding the Tree of Life,
We can unlock those potentials.
and move towards enlightenment.
That's the idea.
So this symbol brings together so many elements of his system.
It does, doesn't it?
The colors, the astrology, the Kabbalah.
All woven into this framework of the Tree of Life.
It's like his grand unified theory.
His magical unity.
And it's not static, right?
No, the Tree of Life is dynamic, full of pathways and possibilities.
For growth and transformation.
It's not just about reaching the top.
It's about the journey itself.
Exploring different paths and integrating different aspects of ourselves.
That really resonates with Yeats's own life.
He was always evolving, seeking new ways to understand and express himself.
So the Tree of Life becomes a metaphor.
For the journey of life itself.
This constant process of growth and self-discovery.
A message that goes beyond specific belief.
We're all on a journey.
And that path, like the tree of life, is winding and full of surprises.
And just like exploring Yeats's magical system
It's a journey with unexpected discoveries.
and profound insights.
Exactly.
I'm feeling pretty energized after that.
I know, it's a lot to take in.
But I think we should pause our climb for now
Take a breather.
and reflect on what we've learned so far.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the mind of W.B. Yeats. We've been going through his magical journal, and I gotta say, this system he created is just incredible. It's so complex. With all the colors, symbols, astrology, it's like a whole other language.
It really is. And you know what strikes me? It wasn't just book learning for him. He wasn't just reading about this stuff. He was out there experimenting, trying things out, really living it.
Yeah, it wasn't about blind faith for him, was it?
No, not at all. He was a seeker, always pushing the boundaries. I think there's a lesson in that for all of us.
Even if we're not, into magic and all that.
Exactly. Especially today, we're bombarded with so much information, so many different beliefs.
It's easy to get lost.
It is, but Yeats reminds us we have the power to create our own paths.
To find meaning that really resonates with us.
Precisely. It's about embracing that journey, that creative process.
And recognizing that our understanding of the world is always changing.
Always evolving.
And speaking of evolution and change, there's this idea of a second coming that pops up a lot in Yeats's work.
Yes, the second coming.
We talked about the poem with all the apocalyptic imagery.
Right.
But I feel like he meant something deeper than just a literal, religious event.
Oh, absolutely. For Yeats, the second coming wasn't about a specific prophecy. It was more like a symbolic representation
Of what?
of a massive shift in consciousness,
Okay.
a turning point in history, bringing in a whole new era.
So not a literal return of Christ,
No,
but a metaphorical transformation.
exactly. A change in values, beliefs that would reshape everything.
Society, culture, the whole thing.
And he saw this transformation as both inevitable and cyclical.
Cyclical.
Like, just as the ancient world gave way to the Christian era,
Right.
so too would the modern world give rise to something new.
A new order with different myths and symbols.
New ways of understanding the world.
So it's about recognizing these historical patterns.
And how they might show up in new ways, unexpected ways.
Not predicting the future, but understanding the forces that shape it.
Exactly. And recognizing that we're not just watching this happen.
We're part of it.
Our choices, our actions, they contribute to the unfolding of history.
So it's not about waiting for something to happen.
It's about actively engaging with these forces of change.
Co-creating the world we want to see.
Precise.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
Especially today with so much change happening.
Yeats reminds us we have agency.
We can help shape what comes next.
A new era, hopefully more just, more compassionate.
More aligned with, our best selves.
And that brings us back to the power of symbols and myths.
Right, they're not just stories.
They're tools for understanding the world, for shaping our reality.
They give us frameworks for meaning-making.
For navigating life's complexities.
For imagining new possibilities.
Exactly.
So by looking at Yeats's system,
we're not just learning about it.
we're getting insight into the power of imagination.
And the potential for transformation.
That we all have within us.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from his work.
What do you mean?
That invitation to explore ourselves, to connect with those unseen forces.
To create a future that's truly worthy of us.
A future that reflects our highest dreams.
Well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
We have.
But it feels like just the beginning.
Like a much longer journey.
Thank you for being our guide through Yeats's magical world. It's been amazing.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep that magic alive.
Until next time, 2022.